All right, answering your burning questions. So what's the deal with intermittent fasting? That's for my thoughts on intermittent fasting, and what that usually translates into is, is there any advantages to using that for fat loss versus other methods? Is there something magical about it? And so I thought I'd break this down into my experiences and the pros and cons of the approach and where you could use it sort of tactically. So first thing, is there anything magical about it? Short answer, no. So where most people are trying to use intermittent fasting is to lose body fat, and to do so more efficiently. And the thing that matters the most for losing body fat is going to be overall calorie intake. So basically calorie intake versus calorie output, that's energy balance. If you take in more calories than you expel, then you will gain weight. If you do the opposite, you will lose weight. That never changes. Now, the thing with this is where intermittent fasting comes into play is that a lot of times people sort of overestimate how much they expel and underestimate how much they actually consume. So the idea behind this is that intermittent fasting puts some easy bookends on the day, which typically by default will control your eating habits and your overall calorie consumption, and usually reduce it, thus sort of translating into some fat loss. That is, bar none, the only mechanism that helps you lose fat. Aside from that, what it can do is it can really help manage hunger signals. So by not eating for a period of time, if you tend to be snacky or just kind of lose control at certain points, it does a really good job of curbing things like the tendency to snack at various points in time of the day. It can also help you feel a little bit better and think a little bit clearer. If you're have a tendency to get sluggish in the mid-afternoon or sort of drag ass in the morning, then just that change in how your body uses fuels, especially our tendency to rely strictly on carbohydrates to provide us fuel, it has a tendency to allow us to become more flexible in the fuels that we use, so you can start breaking down fat a little bit easier to power you through the day, which means that you don't feel that crash at the end of some meals. So it can have some serious advantages, especially if you basically have what that crash is poor blood sugar management. And if you have a tendency to have poor blood sugar management, then it can do a good job of helping reset that to an extent. There is a bit of adaptation period that needs to happen when you do that, though. And what you'll find is the first week or so of intermittent fasting is fairly miserable for the first portion of the day. And depending on your extent of, basically your eating habits and what those look like, and just your dietary flexibility, then you might essentially suffer through that first sort of period and never really adapt to it. But most people sort of take to it to a certain extent, and it can have some serious advantages as far as time management, like just not having an extra meal to make, that can be great. Now, on the flip side of that, disadvantages can be that if you have a tendency to binge, and I say this because I have had tendencies to binge in the past. It can be an easy justification tool to just be like, hey, I'm not going to eat for the first half of the day, but then I am just going to smash everything under the sun when it comes time to eat at dinner. And when we're talking about, if your goal right now is fat loss, calories still matter even if you're intermittent fasting. It's not magical. It doesn't defy the laws of energy balance. So it's super important that we're still managing the food quality and the types of calories. So you don't get to eat everything that you want and anything that you want. What you might find, though, is because you're eating less calories, that it gives you a bit more flexibility at some of those meals to essentially be a little looser on the diet front. That can be a pro or a con depending on your personality and what that translates to in your life in terms of your habits. The other part of this is that, generally speaking, if you're a larger person, I have a larger frame. It's hard to power this frame in 1 or 2 meals. And if I try to, I get some digestive distress. Like it's just hard to chew through, 3,000, 3,500 calories if I'm like, focusing on lifting and try to match that in there in a couple meals. It's very hard on the system. You feel bloated. It's hard to just, consume that much food. You're not hungry. You're not enjoying the food. So it's easier to spread that out. As far as, any other sort of challenges with it, strictly, doing it over time, what it can cause is, like I talked about, a little bit of an eating disorder. If you associate the benefits of it with the method itself. And what I mean by that is, like, you can lose body fat in a variety of different ways, whether that be eating carbohydrates or not eating carbohydrates, eating fats or not eating fats, eating high protein, low protein, vegan, keto, whatever you want to choose. It doesn't matter, because energy balance is the thing that dictates it. What aligns with you best is going to be the thing you're going to have the most success with, because that's the thing that you're going to be most consistent with. But the thing about intermittent fasting can sometimes create that, just like any other sort of dietary sort of intervention. Like, intermittent fasting can create that environment that allows you to lose weight, and then you start associating the idea of like not eating at certain points in time with essentially weight loss, and that's just not factual. It's just the overall calories you consumed were less. So just keeping that in mind when you're looking at this sort of strategy. And I'm gonna link to a couple of resources that give you some longer term experiments on what that means and kind of the different strategies. There's a great article from Precision Nutrition just going through a few different methods, so full day fast, various times of various windows, done very objectively, and giving observations on pretty much all of it. So I'll link that with this video so that you have it and you can sort of make a decision of whether or not this is a good fit for you. Hope that helped. But if you have any questions or anything I didn't cover, please let me know. All right. Hope you enjoyed that. Keep bringing it. Talk soon.